Hi, I'm Ryan, and I'm at RC Minneapolis. I'm in the hotel room right now, but I want to keep up with the YouTube channel and whatnot. And today we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for black-white blink. First off, the Catchermos version, it is really important to know all the ways to trigger Catchermos, and there are so many ways. Catchermos says whenever a card goes exiled from the battlefield or graveyard, then you lose a life and draw a card. And there are a ton of ways for that to happen. First off is Emperor of Bones, which at the beginning of every combat, you exile a card from a graveyard. That's a card being exiled from a graveyard. So beginning of every combat, you get to draw a card and lose a life with Catchermos. Felia, whenever it attacks, it gets the creature that Felia targets gets exiled, and then even though it's got to come back, it's still entered exile. So you draw a card with Catchermos. Boggart Trawler exiles an entire graveyard. You draw a card. Skyclave Apparition exiles something. You draw a card. Solitude exiles something. You draw a card. Flicker Wisp goes away and comes back. It doesn't matter if it immediately comes back and there's no time for any like reactions or entering the stack or anything like that. If it enters exile, you draw a card. And knowing all of these ways is really important. Now, Ephemerate, even forgot about Ephemerate. Knowing all these ways is really important so you can bury your opponent in card advantage with Catchermos, which is what the deck's trying to do. Also, Relic of Progenitus. When you tap it, you exile something from the graveyard, you draw a card with Catchermos, obviously. But something that is not really intuitive unless you actually think all the way through is if you pay the mana cost on Relic of Progenitus, it says pay 1, exile Relic of Progenitus, exile all cards from all graveyards, draw a card. And you have a Catchermos, you will end up drawing 3 cards because exiling Relic is a part of paying its cost, which happens first. So pay a mana, exile Relic, trigger Catchermos, draw a card. Graveyards get exiled, trigger Catchermos, draw a card. And then the ability of Relic of Progenitus, lets you draw cards. So you actually end up drawing 3. Now what's cool about that is you kind of end up drawing 4 because it doesn't require it to be tapped to activate that ability. So you can exile something from a graveyard by tapping it and then activate Relic of Progenitus, which is really disgusting. Next up, you can cheat Overlord of the Balemark onto the battlefield as a 5/5 creature pretty easily in this deck. It's actually one of the deck's nut hands. If you impending Overlord of the Balemark, do the graveyard thing, it's an enchantment, whatever. You can then Felia it, so you attack, blink Overlord of the Balemark, and then when it comes back, it's a creature. This also works with Flicker Wisp. Unfortunately, it does not work with Ephemerate because Ephemerate needs to target a creature, and when you target it, it's an enchantment, not a creature. So that's a little difficult and annoying, but the deck's insane nut hand is turn 2 land go, end of your opponent's turn, play Felia, untap Balemark, do the graveyard thing, attack with Felia, bounce the Balemark, and then as that Balemark comes back and you have 7 power, that whenever it attacks, you get something back from the graveyard, which is awesome. Also with Ephemerate, Flicker Wisp, Felia, most of the creatures in this deck have end of the battlefield effects. And because they have end of the battlefield effects, if you blink them, even if it's not something insane like the Overlord thing, it's still going to be for value. You're still going to trigger those enter the battlefield effects. So be really aware of blinking those creatures in your deck. Flicker Wisp actually has a little bit more text than just Felia and Ephemerate. We have MDFC lands like Witch Enchanter and Boggart Trawler that we can play as a land. But Flicker Wisp can target any card in the deck. So we can target the land, and then, similar to Overlord of the Balemark, it comes back as just a vanilla front face of the card, which is the creature. So if we need to use something as a land, but then in the mid-game, we want to turn that into a creature and get aggressive, or get that enter the battlefield effect, we can actually target that land and then it come back as a creature. And then lastly, as far as the stuff that I think is really important, remember, Emperor of Bones doesn't have to target your opponent's graveyard. Instinctually, as a Magic player, value-wise, it feels like you want to target your opponent's graveyard. But you can target your own graveyard, and often targeting your stuff in your own graveyard is even more powerful because your deck is built to have incredibly powerful enter the battlefield effects. So, targeting your own Overlord of the Balemark and then putting it on the battlefield the Emperor means you get an enter the battlefield effect and an attack effect, which is disgusting. Or it allows you to recycle the exile with Solitude or whatever. So pay attention to your own graveyard as well, even if your Magic instincts say you should be exiling stuff from your opponents. But those are some tips and tricks for Black-White Blink in Modern. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.